Okay, it's Sunday afternoon. It seems like a good day to try to fit an LS in this thing. The plan here is I got an NV3500 trans. I have just a junker motor that I use for mocking up, but at least I can try to get an idea where everything's going to fit. I really doubt those are going to work, so pretty much just going to slide everything in and see what I got to cut and whatnot to make everything fit. This thing's kind of a pain in the arse, so I'll try to work my way around that. That thing, way too big. Right now I'm just working on cutting some motor mounts. One set of LS motor mount adapters. So that just bolts to the block, and then this runs the original style clamshell. Okay, got my motor mocked up with the transmission I want to use. It's just an NV3500. Yeah, they're not the best, but it's what I got. And I probably have really crappy gears in the back, so they'll probably work together really nice. These are those motor plates that I made. And you can see I just have like a stock GM clamshell on it. Gonna see how close in relation these this is together. Gonna fit in the car. The motor is just a gutted 5.3. I had a 55 Chevy and I had a turbo on it and it didn't work out well for me. Actually it went pretty good, but I had a couple cracked pistons and whatnot. So it pretty much just turned into a gutted motor that I can kind of slide around, mock up, weld on, don't care. Just a junker. Plan is now to, well, I'm gonna have to actually cut open the tunnel. So I'm gonna plasma that out, and because you pretty much always have to, so I'm just gonna blindly cut a bunch out and slide the motor in. Hopefully I can get it over this grill shell. Otherwise I have a bunch of extra work that I don't want to do. Well, I've already noticed a small problem. My clutch slave is like into the oil pan. The only thing I could think of though is I'm going to have to cut the pan most likely. I'm gonna go grab my master and see if the damn thing will fit in there. Well, it's definitely gonna be tight. Not sure how well that's gonna work, but people do them, so must be some way. But I won't worry about that right now. I'll figure it out after. Alright, as you can see, motor's loosely mounted in there. It's got to go back, but I have transmission clearance issues inside. As you can see, the motor mounts are not going to work, so I'm going to make something new there. Yeah, I usually like to tuck this motor up tighter. Usually I try to do, you know, just enough breathing room if you got to service something, but enough that I get lots of room for the rad and whatnot inside. This is kind of tight for me anyways. There's just an excessive amount of room back there. The thing foiling that right now is my transmission. I'm just stacked on top of the other mount, so I can't go down. But with that said, I wouldn't be able to pull the transmission if I had to. So there is going to be some X-frame modifications happening here. Okay, here's what we got to work with under here. The tranny is like super close. I'm thinking it might still work. I'm gonna cut this cross member out and push the motor back to where I want. I've kind of just strapped it up, so I'm not fearing for my life while this thing falls on here. I'll probably throw another stand under the front It's strapped in, should be good, but just in case. Yeah. So yeah, I think it'll go back enough. The only thing I'll have to do is a slight, because I think the yoke here is going to end up down the rabbit hole there. But if and when I probably break this transmission, I don't want to have to pull the motor to get the transmission out. So I might have to do a little bit of finessing down on this bottom section of the frame after. But yeah. Okay, here's our some of our dilemma. Right now I just got the tranny, it's just sitting on this. I mean, it's still on the strap here, but it's sitting on here, so she's not quite centered or where she's supposed to be. But I tried test fitting a drive shaft and it doesn't actually fit through the hoop here. She's a little must have had smaller shafts back then. The U-joint, all that stuff doesn't fit in there, so I'm going to have to enlarge in this whole area. So the plan will be just to blow this open for now, and because I want to be able to remove the transmission, I'm going to have to make somehow a removable subsection of this cross member. The motor would have to go actually like really far back, so I'm debating whether using a stock style mounts. Here you can see how far out the oil pan is. You can see how it's smashy compared to where the cross member is. So if you were looking at this thing coming down the road, there's a little bit of opportunity to smack the oil pan, so we're gonna have to cut that thing down. So I've made room. You can see my yoke in there now, but it's not enough room. The drive shaft still doesn't fit through the hole in there. So it looks like my game plan is going to be, I'm gonna get some steel tomorrow. I'm gonna just run some strapping across and cut out the center section. So I basically got to strap that, strap the top, cut out this bit because it looks like I got to get somewhere around here for my drive shaft to work. So I may as well do it evenly both sides. Well, I'm gonna come back a little more there, less there, bring that across, and then I'll have a connector in the middle that'll hold my transmission in and still kind of have the framing there. So I gotta get some of this and some of that. Okay, so I came up with a game plan here. Well, at least for mounting the motor. I run the original LS mounts, I put them back on. I'm gonna just square tube it to the frame, and then I'll kind of build a structure after that. At least it'll hold the motor centered. I've actually lifted the motor up a heck of a lot because, well, I got so much room under the hood, so why wouldn't I do that? To which puts my oil pan clearances pretty respectable. If I have to cut the pan yet, I can to clear it for some reason if I'm bagging or doing something like that. So far the plan is not to bag the front, but that can change. I should have lots of room for my exhaust. Yeah, this should work out pretty good. So now I'm just gonna scab up some mounts for the sides to temporarily hold the motor in place while I work on the tranny after. Okay, the motor's temporarily popped in there. Now I'm gonna cut open this to get to the top of the X frame so I can start welding in my strapping so I can work on cutting out the center guts of that thing. Okay, looks messy, which is fine. I don't want to cut out this center part because it is just an actual floor brace. I'm going to have to scab all that stuff off when I do the floor. Back here it's on top, but I'm going to have to make something else. Just want to keep a little bit of this car together here yet. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to strap across. I'm probably going to come like from narrow to wide. I don't know. Actually, I'll probably come from here because I got my Speedo gear in there. Right there. I'll probably come back a couple inches off the tranny, put a fist, whatever. something to make a difference. Then I'm going to come back straight to there. So I'm going to strap both sides so I'll get the top done. And then I'll go underneath, do the same thing, and then make a filler through the middle of both sides. Okay, upstairs department is done. Gotta go down. I cut the top slats already, just to make it easier when I'm underneath. I can slice them up. Alrighty, so these are the pieces that I cut out on the plasma table there. Just got to bash them in place. Well, I got to trim them up here a little bit there. Clean everything up and then weld her in. Alright, here we go. Everything's out. I got the mount off. I can't find any of my mounts, so I might have to pick one up tomorrow. And then work on building some kind of a cross member to hold that transmission in there. Starting up my tranny mount. Kinda wonky. Let's see what I can get her going here. I think that's what I'm going to start with, and then try to figure out some upper mounting tab yet to go off. And hold this fluffle together. All right, not one of the most prettiest things I've made, but function over beauty. It'll do what I need. Most of my motor mounts are in. I'm just gonna make a triangulated gusset on the top right here. Something there just for a little extra meat. Okay. For some tabs are made. Just gonna clean it up, burn them in. Okay, well here's where we're at. The motor mounts are welded in. I gotta mark the holes to drill them yet. The exhaust, well, she almost fits. You can see that it hits on this side. And this side, not so nice. It's not terrible. So I might cut the manifolds and clock them. We've cut and welded them lots doing turbo stuff, so it'll be fine. And I gotta still cut off the old mounts. They don't really interfere with anything, but I do maybe want to run AC on here, so I'm gonna have to get rid of that thing there. Underneath, you can see my crude motor mount is in. It's fine. I still have to build an X-frame. Like underneath here, I'm actually going to build a cross frame yet. Same on top, just like a plate, just to connect the two. And still be able to pull the transmission out. The motor mounts, you can kind of see how they are. I mean, they're nothing fancy, but they'll do what I need them to do. Like again, I have to drill and bolt all those in there yet. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thanks for watching.